Hello my dear students, I welcome you all to our channel Learn 24. So we have already talked about the overview of this particular chapter, that is human reproduction. Now you all know, for us not being getting extinct, this process of reproduction is really important, right? So that process will be covering in this particular chapter. So let's just first start talking about us humans, that is us mammals itself, right? So humans are considered to be mammals and we are considered to be a viviparous organism, right? Talking about viviparous organisms, these are the organisms which has the ability to give birth to their young ones. Okay, so us humans, we basically give birth to the young ones. There are other alternative ways which other organism acquire, but talking about us humans specifically, we give birth to the young ones, and that is why we are considered to be a viviparous organism. And if you may ask, how exactly does this happen? That is due to the sexual reproduction, right? So we have already learned in the lower standards also what is sexual reproduction. Here the involvement of two gametes are required from different parents, right? And that is why us humans are considered to be unisexual in nature. That is, we have separate male and we have a separate female. Okay, so humans are considered to be unisexual, that is, we have a male and also we have a female. Now, talking about each of the sexes separately, each of the sexes have separate reproductive organs, reproductive ducts and accessory structures, right? So when we are talking about male, male has separate reproductive organ, separate reproductive ducts and separate accessory structure than female, right? So we will be talking about these three in detail in this particular chapter and of course its involvement, right? So let's just start with the male reproductive system itself, right? So here you can see a beautiful diagram which is shown, right? So this is a structure of male reproductive system. So I know it seems a little difficult to learn, but let me tell you, it's really easy. Let's just start with where actually it all starts, right? So from where it starts, that is the process from where it starts and where it ends, it's the easiest method to learn this particular diagram. So let me give you a little bit of heads up. So in the testicle, testis is present where the sperm is being produced. So here the process is starting, right? So this is the place where the entire process is starting. So talking about the testicle here you can see it's oval in shape, and above this epididymis is present in the posterior side of the testis, and then you can see a long slender loop which is called as vas deferens, and this loop basically loops over the urinary bladder, which then will be exposed to a lot of glands, and those glands are seminal vesicle, prostate gland and then bulbourethral gland, and all of them basically converge to a single point, and that single point is nothing but the urethra, and this urethra ends in an enlarged tissue which is called as glans penis, and this penis is covered by a tissue which is called as erectile tissue, right? So this is the simplest way to learn this diagram. So just concentrate on where exactly the process starts and where exactly this process is ending. All right, so this is the structure of male reproductive system, right? So talking about what and all the male reproductive system consists of, as I told, or as I have shown that there is an involvement of many things, right? From the testis to the outside, there are many things which are involved in the male reproductive system. So talking about what and all it consists of, first of all it consists of a pair of testes, and then there is a lot of accessory ducts which are involved, and then there is a involvement of accessory glands, and eventually it will go out from the external genitalia itself, right? So talking about this accessory ducts again consist of rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, vasa deferens and urethra. Now I know there is a lot to learn in this itself, so let me tell you a simplest way to learn this. So either you can learn the first letter of each and every word, that is R, V, E, V, U. Okay, either learn this or make a phrase out of it, right? Maybe learn like RVs are expensive and very unpredictable, right? So like that, make a phrase and learn it in an easy manner, right? So accessory duct consists of all this. Talking about the accessory glands consist of prostate glands, consist of seminal vesicle, and it consists of bulbourethral or Cowper's gland. Now I know there is a lot of information to take in from here itself, but like I said, to learn it in a really simplest manner, maybe use this trick, make a phrase out of all the letters and just try to learn it in an easiest manner, right? So this will help you a lot. Trust me, do that in coming chapters also, right? So moving on, let's just start with the testis itself. Okay, so let's just talk about the testis itself first. So talking about testis and specifically about this location, where is this testis present? So testis is basically present outside the abdominal cavity, and that too in a pouch which is called as a scrotum, right? So now you may be asking, why exactly is this present outside the abdominal cavity? Now the simplest answer that I will give you is that, first of all, let me give you a heads up that in testis itself the sperms are being produced. So inside the testis the sperms are produced, right? So the sperms, that is for its production, it has to maintain a low temperature. Okay, so it requires a really low temperature of 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. But if you are thinking, let's just imagine if this particular pouch was present inside the body, our internal body temperature is much more higher than 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, right? So as to maintain a really low temperature, this particular structure is present outside the abdominal cavity, right? So this is the simplest answer, and let me tell you, these questions will be coming on your exam. Probably it might come, okay? So a lot of time these questions have been asked. Now moving on and talking about the structure of testis, each of these testes are oval in shape. Okay, so this are oval in shape. And talking about the length of testis is 4 to 5 in centimeter. Talking about the width, it's 2 to 3 in centimeter. And when we are talking about the outermost layer of testis, the outermost layer is basically consisting of a fibrous membrane. Okay, so this membrane is called as tunica albuginea. Okay, so the dense covering capsule is called as a tunica albuginea. Okay, now talking about each of these testes. So talking about the inside part of this testis, the testis consist of 250 compartments. Okay, and these compartments are called as testicular lobules. Okay, so talking about the inside of testis consist of 250 compartments, and these compartments are called as testicular lobules. Okay, now moving on and talking about what does exactly this lobules consist of. So moving on, talking about the lobule. Lobule consists of 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules. Okay, so lobule consists of 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubule. Along with that, you can see blood vessels also, and apart from that, here you can see some nerves also. Okay, so all of them will be present in a loose connective tissue, right? So this is what our testis comprises of. Okay, so we ended with seminiferous tubule, right? So let me tell you an interesting thing about seminiferous tubule. Now I have already told inside the testis sperm is being produced. Okay, so talking about where exactly is being produced, it's nothing but inside the seminiferous tubule itself. Alright, so seminiferous tubule is a unit, it is a structural and functional unit of testis where the sperms are being produced. Okay, so now you understand what exactly special about this structure is, right? So inside seminiferous tubule itself, the sperms are being produced. Okay, now let's just discover about the structure of seminiferous tubule itself. So talking about the inside structure of seminiferous tubule, the inside of seminiferous tubule consists of two types of cells, and those two types of cells are male germ cell and a Sertoli cell. So male germ cell are also known as spermatogonia, and you can call it as spermatogonium. Alright, talking about Sertoli cells, you can also call it as supporting cell. Now you may be wondering what are its functions, right? So talking about the functions of each and every one of them, let's just discover about it. So talking about male germ cell will undergo meiotic division and it will form sperms. Okay, so the male germ cell are the major part from where the sperms are being produced. Okay, so from the male germ cell, it will undergo a meiotic division and it will lead to the formation of sperms itself. Now, what is the function of Sertoli cell, right? So talking about the Sertoli cell, it is basically providing nutrition. It is providing nutrition to this particular germ cell. Alright, now one more thing. We can also call this Sertoli cell as nurse cell. Now you may be asking, why is that so, ma'am? Right? So what is the function of nurse in a hospital? When we are talking about the proper function of a nurse in a hospital, the nurse has to provide proper nutrition and it basically, take care of the patients which has been admitted there. So the Sertoli's function is basically providing nutrition to the male germ cell. So their function is somewhat similar, right? So that is why we can call Sertoli cell as nurse cell also, right? So moving on and talking about this structure. So here this structure you can see in the NCERT book also. So here this structure, I have put this structure here just so to show you where exactly this male germ cell is present and where exactly this Sertoli cell is present. Okay, so this is a sectional view of seminiferous tubule. Okay, so this is a LS of seminiferous tubule itself. Okay, so here you can see these cells are called as spermatogonium and this cell is known as Sertoli cell. Okay, so from the spermatogonium you may be asking how sperms are formed. So this spermatogonium has to undergo all of this process. Okay, this process will be discussing and discovering in later videos, right? Now, as we have talked about the inside of the seminiferous tubule, right? So we have already talked about the inside part. So inside consists of two cells, right? So it consists of two cells, which is the male germ cell and also the Sertoli cell. Now talking about the outside cell. outside the seminiferous tubule, there is a region which is present outside the seminiferous tubule, and that particular region is called as interstitial spaces. Okay, so the region which is present outside the seminiferous tubule is called as interstitial spaces, and these spaces consist of blood vessels and also some interstitial cells, or you can call it as Leydig cells. Okay, now talking about the functions of these cells. Okay, so these cells are playing a really important role here. So talking about the function of interstitial or the Leydig cell, it basically synthesizes and secretes the testicular hormones. Okay, so testicular hormones are nothing but the androgens itself, whose function I will be explaining you in the coming chapters, right? So for now, let's just stick to this knowledge itself. I will give you an extended version of it in the coming videos itself, right? So talking about the interstitial or Leydig cell, its function is to secrete and simulate the testicular hormone, which is called as androgens, and along with that many immunologically competent cells will also be secreted during this time. Okay, so they will also secrete immunologically competent cells along with that, right? So we have already learned a lot of things, right? We covered about us humans itself, then we kept on talking about male and female reproductive system, and in this video we have specifically concentrated on the male's reproductive system, right? We have talked a lot. Now there is a lot more discovery to be made in case of male reproductive system. So I'll teach you that in my next video. So until then, bye bye and take care.